All right, it is 4:01 and you're live.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order at 4:01. First order of business, who's going to be the chair for the next year?
Thought we voted on that.
What's that?
I thought we voted on that last meeting.
Oh, that's right. Liz got elected, did she not?
What?
I think Liz got elected and then you two retracted it, saying that perhaps you should wait until you had a full commission to be making the appointment. So,
Well, I should say that this is a remarkably strenuous job that takes a lot of time. But in seriousness, it's not difficult because Katie does such a great job. So if anybody else would like the honor of being chair of the Civil Service Commission, speak now or forever hold your peace.
You're doing a good job, Keith.
Yeah, Keith, you can keep doing it. That's okay with me.
Gee, thanks. Do we have a vote then?
Aye.
Do we have to vote? We do.
yeah, we do. Do we have I think first we need a motion.
Okay.
I motion that Keith continue as chair.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on. Thank you. I will wear the mantle with great dignity, I hope.
Chair Bott, please allow me to be the first to officially congratulate you on your successful re-election as the chair.
Thank you. And I was willing to concede at a moment's notice. So we move on to the approval of the minutes. I was wondering about the section where it says about the police chief promotional exam. And you've got that line in there about in the past, we've done it contrary to civil service law.
I'm
It
sorry.
jumped off the page. Is that, if that's true, that's fine. I don't want to hide from it.
I don't believe that we have done anything illegal or unethical or incorrect. However, civil service law does indicate that higher level titles should be filled by promotion where appropriate. Now, in the past, I mean, the last two police chiefs we filled them on a promotional basis. The exam was just, I mean, obviously that's Dennis Nair and then Doug Brenner. So both of those candidates were obviously promotional candidates, but they took an open competitive exam. So in order to be fully compliant with civil service law, which is what Dave and I like to see, we want to give the exam on an open competitive basis as well as a promotional exam. I would be happy to modify the minutes in a way that would make it a little bit more palatable to explain my.
I liked your words fully compliant to be, as opposed to contrary to the law.
So this is under new business paragraph 1. Okay, so
I
Dave,
don't have that up.
okay, that's okay. So Dave and Katie, so where I says Dave and Katie agreed it was contrary to civil service law, we can just say Dave and Katie agreed would be more consistent with. Is that fair?
That's great.
Yep.
Sorry, I didn't mean to make anybody nervous. We've done nothing wrong again, but
Good.
I like to do things the right way, as you all know.
So with that correction, do we have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
I vote to do so. So there we have it. Great. Moving on to approval of personnel transactions. My only question there was acting police chief. It says on the one column salary, but then it says stipend, and it almost read as if the stipend was the $107,000.
No, that's his new total.
Okay,
Yeah, that's his new total.
okay.
Yeah.
So should it say with stipend or?
Usually in the comments, I just, if it's a salary change and it's not for like something, like it's a contractual step or something like that, I try to note for you the reason for the salary change. So I'm just noting that that is the reason for the change, not necessarily that is the stipend.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Well, other than that, I'll move to approve those transactions. And a second?
Second.
Great. So moved, so voted on. All right. Katie, correspondence.
Sure. I got my papers a little out of order here. Okay, so the first item of correspondence we received was from New York State Civil Service. It was a commission, or I'm sorry, a confirmation of our annual report submission. We'll be talking more about our annual report under new business. I am always incredibly relieved to get that annual report out of the way. It's in a ton of work, but it's necessary, required by law, and a really important way to gauge, just the status of civil service in your agency. I received a confirmation of a decentralized examination to give a custodian promotional exam for the school district. So I was happy about that. That's coming up on March 20th. I also received a dunning notice from State Civil Service that apparently I somehow requested an exam twice. So it was a duplicate request. So I canceled the one that was duplicate. No idea how I did that, but I fixed it.
Good.
The next thing I had was there was a bunch of correspondence about the 2020 examination fee billing report. So kind of a companion to the annual report that we file, we also have to reconcile the fees that we took in for examinations during the year. And then we are required to remit a portion of those fees back to New York State for, preparation of the materials, their overhead, et cetera. So there were several items of correspondence over this. I think the state had some sort of glitch with their system and it was sending out all of these rogue, bogus emails about this exam fee stuff, but happy to report that was taken care of, and that's also under review by the state. So I'm waiting to be sure they agree with our numbers, and then we'll be good to go. The
We
next,
had 2 exams in 2020.
we actually had a few. I think we talked about it last time, and there were at least a couple I forgot, so Dave will probably have to help me. But in January, we did civilian dispatcher. In February, we did deputy director of finance. And then in September, we did police officer. Is
Okay.
that it, Dave? Or
I think that's it. Yep, just the 3.
so it was a really easy report this year, but it's compared to when we're trying to reconcile hundreds of different payments. But the next piece of correspondence I received was just I had submitted a while back an NCP evaluation request, and NCP is non-competitive promotion for an individual who we had promoted to the title of Deputy Code Enforcement Officer, and I want him to qualify for that job based on the fact that he's the most senior code enforcement inspector in the department, as well as the fact that he took and passed a test that was actually a higher level for code enforcement officer a few years ago. So they had corresponded with me about that. They had some questions. And based on the questions that I asked, apparently I inadvertently uncovered a deficiency in their form. So they're now having to update one of their forms. So they were thanking me for that. The next thing that I have is just an update to 2020 to 2021 examinations. Really no updates from last time. There were a lot more county-based exams for social services like caseworker, social welfare examiner, stuff like that. But we'll go through all of our exams in a minute. And then I got and just keeping with our tradition of reporting, correspondence from outside agencies, I had been working with Reggie McGinnis at the school district, who was kind of helping me after my big, year-end civil service audit, to help me kind of answer some of the questions and clear up some of the I don't want to call them problems, but some of the questions that I had. So I got that acknowledgement, and Reggie is wonderful. She's very helpful. And that concludes the correspondence.
We have no eligible lists.
We have no eligible lists.
Okay. So the exam status, which is now on a PDF.
Yeah, as long as you don't mind, and I'm going to share my screen here quick so we can take a look at it together, but I'm trying to make my life easier and not duplicate stuff. So rather than typing them all out onto the agenda, as long as you don't mind me submitting just a screenshot, that would eliminate a step for me. So I'm going to actually, for the next couple items, I'm going to start sharing my screen. And then we can look at the same documents together. Okay? Okay. All right. Can everybody see this? It says,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
So these are all of the exam requests we have here. And this just shows the same information that we have talked about or that I previously reported to you on the agenda. Senior account clerk here. This is a job for the library that we actually classified last month. That's their new business title. Here's a cancellation because that was the duplicate request. Police chief type B, that's the exam that's being held in March, and Dave will talk to you about that in a minute. Your little civil service 101 for today is, you see how there's two exams here?
Right.
The one that starts with a 7, that's the promotion exam, and the one that starts with a 6 is open competitive. So it's the same test, it's again being given open competitively and promotionally as discussed.
So Katie, the 5 exams that have 0000 dates, is that just a space keeper? Should that be gone? And then the administrative specialist, is that really scheduled for 2030?
So that's been crazy. I don't know. So the ones that have 0000, those are requests that I've canceled. Like over here to the far right, you'll see
Okay,
another.
all right.
So like up here, senior account clerk, I canceled that because it was a duplicate. This exam I canceled because we've got a lateral transfer, so there's no need to hold that exam. The one that says 2030, I have no idea why they've done that. The exam is not, it's one, you can see that we ordered it quite a while back. It just hasn't been scheduled yet.
Okay.
Sergeant is now scheduled for June. That's good news. We've got a provisional there. Firefighter is scheduled for May 1st. That will be good because we've pretty much exhausted the list from that. Civilian dispatcher, we just gave in January. Police officer, we gave in September. If my mouse would cooperate here. Dave, I need a new mouse.
I'll put it on my list.
Dave usually helps me with these things. All right, so engineering GIS canceled. Water and sewer supervisor, that one, I think Dave ordered it. It's celebrating its 1-year birthday officially today. So that is not yet scheduled. That again, he ordered open competitively and promotionally. Purchasing agent, that one was one that was canceled due to the pandemic, and it looks like it's still pending rescheduling. Personnel director, we've canceled. Accountant, this one is just still out there. We ordered them, now it's over a year ago.
Wow.
I'm sorry, Liz?
Oh, nothing. It's just a long time.
Well, you'll see when we get down, there's, we have one individual who's been literally with the city for what, Dave? I don't know, 3 years. And the poor person is still provisional.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's unfortunate. Senior library clerk, this was canceled at the request of the district. Records management clerk, that one was ordered in August of 2019. And then transportation director, that was also ordered in June of 2019. So that's our exam status. So as long as you guys don't mind this format, I would really love to be able to continue showing it to you this way and reviewing it. Any questions?
No, other than the ones I've asked, and you answered those very quickly. Thanks.
No problem. All right, so I'll stop sharing my screen.
Oh, there's Dave.
Okay.
He disappeared when you showed that screen, though.
Who did?
David did.
David did. Well, he's right. He's there now.
I haven't moved.
Keith, can you please get your technology under control there? I mean,
I'll try.
so that was all I had for exams. If we can.
Great. So we're moving on to Dave is going to tell us about the police chief exam.
Yeah, I just wanted to update you on where we are with that. It's being held not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. I did communicate with the state just to clarify. You know, when we're in a transfer situation, when somebody's requesting to transfer from one police department to another, we can't accept transfers from New York City Police Department, NYPD. We can't accept transfers from the New York State Troopers. Then there's a couple of other little small agencies too, and it's because they're not appointed under the same the same chapter of civil service law as other police officers. So I wanted to reach out to the state and just verify that those entities are still qualify to take an open competitive promotional exam with us. And I did finally hear back from them on Monday. They did confirm for me that yes, a New York City Police Department, somebody who had their initial career there, is eligible to take our exam. And we do have somebody who is retired NYPD that will be taking the exam. We also have another downstater, Suffolk County retiree, and then an active person from the capital region. So that's our open competitive pool. And then we have 3 folks that have applied for the promotional exams. So that's not bad, you know, to get 3 open competitive and then 3 promotional. You know, as long as everybody passes, we'll have mandatory lists for both, and we'll see how it goes.
No, that sounds like a really good number. I
Yeah.
always understood that New York City Police stopped transfers 20 some odd years ago because too many of their officers were transferring out.
Yeah, you know, my understanding is that it's because you know, we are specifically appointing our police officers under Civil Service Law Section 58, and they have their own civil service law in New York City, you know, that they appoint them under. But then when it talks about promotions, the civil service law doesn't cite Section 58, it cites the New York State Constitution, not civil service law as to who's eligible. So that's, we also had a candidate from the Port Authority. And with that one, that was, the state said that one is not eligible from New York, New Jersey Port Authority, because that is not, they are not appointed under the New York State Constitution. So.
All right. Well, and we've already done the next order of business. Was that all you had on the police chief?
Yeah, unless you guys have any questions. Yep.
So Dave, that gives us 6 total applicants, right?
Correct. Yep.
How many have we had in the past?
I think last time, in addition to the folks that took it for internally, I mean, it was 1 exam then, it was all open competitive. I think we had 3 that year as well that were taking it from other agencies. If I remember it correctly, there were 2 from the Capital District and then 1 from City of Binghamton.
Okay.
I don't know if Katie remembers if there was any more than that. So I think we had 3 outside in the last time as well.
All right. So moving on to new business, Katie, the review of the annual report.
So I will just go back to sharing my screen here. So you can take a look at what we're doing. All right, hold on, sorry. It's my darn mouse again, I apologize. I don't know what's the matter with this thing. Okay. Can everybody see this over here now? It says 2020 Annual Civil Service Report. Maybe I need to make it a little bit bigger. Oops.
Made it smaller.
I made it smaller. So this just, I mean, this is our annual report. It's only 5 pages. The first page just basically goes through, you know, who our staff are. Second page, we talk about hours and access. These are the hours that were here. This talks about how much money we spent administering merit system. This is the part of the city's budget right here, $34,262 that was allocated to civil service. That includes, you know, overhead, any expenditure related to civil service, mailings, salaries, etc. So now this is the really interesting part. Well, it's interesting to me as a civil service nerd, but this is where we have to account. Can everybody see this okay, by the way? Should I make it a little bit bigger? I know on the screen sharing, it comes across a little weird. So
I think you may have just lost a column for me. What's the column on the far right? Exempt?
I probably should put it back.
And if you go back to that smaller size, I was able to read it, but if others would like it bigger, by all means.
No, I can see it.
Okay.
Cool. So this is just where we account by jurisdictional classification, all the people who are employed under your umbrella, the umbrella of the Civil Service Commission. So this, where it says board, this is all of our school district employees. So this is the classified positions, which includes non-supervisory, non-teaching people. And these are really the categories you want to look at over here, like how many provisionals, how many temporaries do we have, and basically why do we have them? So we're really, I mean, I didn't come across one provisional or temporary employee in the school district. I thought that was great. This accounts for who are non-competitive employees. So this would be a lot of the, you know, buildings and grounds workers, custodial workers, things like that. Labor, for the most part, those are school monitors. Exempt class are people who are more, you know, like executive level jobs. Section 42 and 55A of non-competitive. Section 42 just means that it's a title for which examination, a written examination would not be practicable. In Section 55A, we don't have any. Those are specific positions that are temporarily made non-competitive for the purposes of accommodating a disability. So we don't have any of those anywhere in the city or under our agency, any of our outside agencies right now. So continuing along, we've got, when we'll review these, we've got 9 provisional and 1 temporary employee in the city. In the Housing Authority, we were doing pretty well. It's a pretty small agency. And then the special district is the library. So this just accounts for all of our people. So the number of people that Dave and I are responsible for looking after is 264. For a staff of 2 with a pretty, you know, a lot of other responsibilities, I don't think that's a pretty big number. Okay, so these are our provisional appointments, and they just basically want to know who's provisional, where are they, when did you appoint them, and when did you request your exam. So this just lists all of the people who are provisional, and as you can see, we've requested an exam on all of the provisionals other than 1, and that's because this is a title that we are going to be asking the state civil service to make non-competitive. So we're actually doing pretty well with, given the last year operating under a pandemic, given the problems that we had, I think we did a pretty good job to only come out of this with 9 provisional appointments.
Well, and only 3 of those appear that, well, maybe 4, that the exam was requested after they were appointed.
Yeah, for the most part, we try to do it as soon as we can, but you're supposed to do it within 60 days of an appointment. Quite frankly, sometimes I just miss it and I order them as quickly as I can thereafter. But I think my takeaway from this was that that was pretty.
Well, you were within 60 days of all of those and earlier on most of them, right?
There was one that I was late on. Yeah, this one, this deputy code enforcement officer thing that I told you about. And quite frankly, that was because I forgot about it. So yeah, I was a year off, but thanks Keith for the vote of confidence there. Under temporary appointments, we just have 1 person temporarily appointed as a firefighter. And this person is part of our part-time staff who is temporarily full-time due to a medical leave, a long-term medical leave of a permanent incumbent. So that will resolve when the permanent incumbent comes back to work from his leave. So this talks about position classification. So this is when the commission adopted a new job specification, basically. So this was the deputy code enforcement officer that was done back in January. This was the engineering GIS technician that was done in February. This was a new position in finance coordinator that we didn't end up actually filling. And then this one was also done in January. That's the utility superintendent that we talked about earlier. We had an exam request for. And you will see that there's a, well, it's water and sewer supervisor, I guess, not utility supervisor. Any questions on position classification?
None.
None?
No.
So you will notice under rules appendix, I have done nothing. I need to do that. And I have moved it up to my absolute must-do list. So I will be reporting to you on that next month. This is where we capture any exams that are not prepared and rated by the State Department of Civil Service. We don't have any because we follow the state exam plan for everything. This would be if we were creating, ranking, providing our own test. No way are we going to do that. I literally can't imagine a situation in which we would do that and take on that kind of liability, but that's where you would capture that. This stuff is just goes through the activities of what we do, administration of pay plans, collective bargaining, contract administration, all that fun stuff. Projects, we didn't really do any major projects. So our plans, our major, so they ask for what were your obstacles and what's your plan for the upcoming year? And I just wrote that, of course, as was the case with most municipalities, we had significant and unprecedented challenges to merit system administration given, given the pandemic and the fact that a lot of exams were canceled or delayed. Our upcoming projects and goals, I basically wrote that catching up on roster cards for outside agencies, administering catch-up exams, finalizing updates to our local rules and holding the public hearing. I'm referring to Dave and I in the third person here, but it's really because civil service and personnel are effectively two different responsibilities. So I like to create that distinction whenever possible. So there's, we've got quite a few vacancies in the police department right now. And then provide basic civil service training to Nancy, who's our personnel clerk, who started in August.
Right.
So, and here's our submission date to prove that we got it in prior to the March 1st deadline. So that is our annual civil service report. So I know it doesn't boil down to look like much, but there's really a lot of work that goes into it. We have to count person by person. What's their status? Do we have an updated roster card? Is there anybody in any of these outside agencies that we haven't heard of or don't know? So that's that. So eventually at some point, I will get you all to sign off on this when we're all back together.
You don't need us to come in at this point and sign it?
Not yet, I don't think. I mean, no, I don't think that's necessary. We can wait. If there were to be a need, I mean, we can prove by the fact that this meeting is being recorded that we reviewed it today with a date and time stamp. So we could always have you sign retrospectively if needed, but I don't think that's necessary.
All right. On the first page, Katie, I noticed that Liz and I live at City Hall and Russ lives at his house.
Oh, do you? Oh, okay, we're gonna get rid of that. Yeah, I'll fix that. I didn't notice that. Yeah, I usually put in City Hall. I don't know why I did that to you, Russ. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That is our annual report.
Well, I think it's great, and I would sign it today if it were in front of me. So let the record show that.
Well, thank you.
All right. All right, moving on to the fire chief. That was expected, correct?
Yes, yes, it was. It's an expected retirement. I didn't know that he was going to retire quite as quickly as he did, but I knew it was going to be sometime in the early part of this year. So I just wanted to update you. I'm sure you read about it in the paper by now as to the steps that we took to get the position filled. So, I'm sure, as you all know, the fire department really, as an emergency organization with a high call volume and a lot of emergency situations going on, it was really identified as a priority to maintain a strong centralized command structure, and to get that as quickly as we possibly could to replace the outgoing chief, especially given the fact that the assistant chief had retired at the end of the year. So that was both of our, veteran fire commanders leaving within 6 weeks of each other. So given the fact that I knew that we needed to take quick action, I thought that the best option would be to get people or a person who already knew the department, who were familiar with the people and the operations, who wouldn't require a lot of training, who could come in on a temporary basis just to effectively get the department through, to give me a little bit of breathing room to actually conduct a proper recruitment. And when I say recruitment, that means evaluating external options for a temporary interim chief, and also giving due consideration to the people who are on the list, because we do have a list that was established in 2018. It expires in 2020. We extended it for the full 4 years. But that was my justification. So in order to fill the temporary spot, acting spot, I guess, I looked at, several retirees, recent retirees, and I had some conversations with people, and the arrangement that I arrived at is that Mike Mancini, who retired after 20 years, I think, with the department just in October, he retired as a fire captain, and he was willing to come back for a period not to exceed 6 months to serve as our acting chief. To support what Mike is doing, we also the council appointed Shane Mattice, who was the assistant chief in the past. They reinstated him to the job on a part-time basis, a very part-time basis, to be the assistant chief to help Mike with, a variety of managerial and administrative and compliance tasks in the department. So effectively, we have a fire department dream team. The two of them are already working together amazingly well. I just can't say enough good things about them. So it was really, an enormous relief to me to have such a good command structure in place so quickly. So there was literally a period of 4 days that elapsed between when Pat's last official physical day was and when we were able to get the new command structure in place. So where do we go from here? So, Civil Service Law, Section 64.2 provides for temporary appointments. And if an appointment is made, temporary appointment is made for a period exceeding 3 months, but not to exceed 6 months, then you are required to select a person from an appropriate eligible list if it's available, without regard to his or her standing on the list. So Mike Mancini was 7th on the fire chief list. So we are compliant with civil service on his appointment. Regarding Shane, so Shane is handled a little bit differently because he is a reinstatement, which is Civil Service Rule 5.4, which states that a permanent employee who resigned could be reinstated without examination, and that employees separated for more than a year would need to be reinstated upon approval of the Civil Service Commission. When I reviewed the resolution of delegation of functions, that approving reinstatements is actually a function that you had delegated to me as the secretary. So I was comfortable and confident that we were compliant with the rules doing that. So between the two of these gentlemen, that's 60 plus years of experience in the department. And I think we're in very good hands. So I will continue. Dave put together a nice job advertisement. It's currently on our website and it's being advertised. And we've actually gotten a few good applications. So we're just going to continue over the next few weeks to evaluate the candidates who come in. again, give due consideration to the people who are on the established eligible list, and then make an appointment for a successor at some point in the future. It might not be right away, because we want to, do the right thing and, really give this it's a very important public safety position. But that's where we're at. So any questions or concerns there?
No,
Can Mike and Shane be extended?
So my answer
oh, yeah.
depends. So in that section of civil service law that I was quoting, 64.2, it does say that in certain limited circumstances, a temporary appointment can be made not to exceed 18 months if the person is rendering, let me just read it because I never get this right, professional, scientific, or technical assistance on a special project. So theoretically, the way I interpret that, we could theoretically make an appointment to the position for an absolute maximum of 18 months. I think that a fire chief is a really important well, chief and assistant chief, they're important spots. They have a really, they provide a valuable service to the community. And I think we could certainly make the case that it is professional and technical assistance on a particular project. So to answer your question, could they be extended? Probably. But it's my goal to have everything sorted out within the 6-month time frame so we can just be sure we're being as compliant as we can.
Because I'm not certain that project at a fire department in standing like ours is actually a project. I would mince that word, but
Yeah, I think you're right, Keith. I mean, when I started, so like a project would be, so Dave and I are gonna hire, another person to come into our office for a period of 12 months to conduct a compensation and classification study. It's a special project for a limited duration of time. That would really be more what I think the intent of the law is. So I would agree with you there.
well, good
Give an
luck.
example of where we've used that before. We did use the 18-month specifically to do a temporary appointment to help with the DRI, that being the project. And so that's an example where we have used that 18-month temporary in the past, was in our community development office.
All right. It looks like we have an executive session on.
We do. I actually, unfortunately, we're, in the middle of processing police officer candidates, and I do have a few disqualifications to recommend to you.
Okay.
I thought that Acting Chief Witzenberg was going to join us, but I don't see him, so he must have gotten tied up with something, but I'm prepared to talk about them. Carrie, are you there? Oh, she's already done it. So everybody's going to join the breakout room, okay?
Is there a separate session or
No, I'm a little concerned.
I can force it, but I didn't want to without confirming that first.
No, we're done. I think,
Okay,
honestly, Carrie, I think they probably hit, oh wait, here they come.
here's one.
Guys.
Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, we're done with, oh, and here's Keith. Oh, thank goodness. Here, I thought maybe they left the meeting entirely. Carrie, we're done with executive session.
All right, I will close it. Thank you.
Thank you. Great, I thought we'd lost everybody.
Well, I tried to leave the room several times and then I got muted. So
Sorry.
I'm not a digital native.
So other than just noting that our next meeting is scheduled for March 24th at 4 p.m., I did not have any other business.
Very good. By then I will have had my second COVID shot. Yay.
Oh, congratulations. Good job.
All right. Anything else before we move to adjourn? Russ, I hope you feel better.
Why?
The
do I.
warm weather should at least be a perk for that. So, well,
Yep.
4:58, I move we adjourn and see each other in the fourth Wednesday of March.
We have a second.
Second.
Thanks, everybody. Have